Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to our webinar. And colleagues who've been joining us on this webinar, thank you very much for taking your time. And the people who take the time and attend these webinars, we do know uh, that you are investing your personal time. And I just want to shout out to everyone who's attending this webinar virtually. And I also want to thank for the people who will be watching this webinar when it's been if you've been watching the recording version of it. So without further ado, I would love to invite you all to work through on this mastering this rapid change and how do we empower this empowering your product team. This is some of the stories which we've been which we have worked with our clients, and one of the stories we would love to share during this webinar. The high level format of this webinar is by the way, this session has been recorded, and if you're looking for a copy of the tools or the, the copy of the deck itself, give us a shout or drop us an email at hello@leadership tribe, and we'll be more than happy to share this with you. So our agenda, a high level agenda. So we'll be looking at the mastering rapid change. So we have shared some polls on LinkedIn. So we have some data and a case study on how did they, a client of ours, how did they even work on empowering their product team. And we do have a bonus content on how to use one of the tools from today. So, and from here, what are the next steps? And a bit about introduction about me. I'm the in-house consultant and trainer for Leadership Tribe. I'm also known as the chief storyteller, as well as the mad scientist, where I would love to experiment theories, concepts from postmodern techniques to agile, using large language models, positive psychology, and various tools to integrate and help and co-create strategies and the flow of value for the clients. That's what we've been doing and working for our organizations. And this is the client who I've been working for, Leadership Tribe. I would recommend you to check out their services. One of them is that they do the public training programs, as well as some of the services is including a transformation work. How do we deliver from point A to point B? So integrating and bringing various new ways of working and helping teams to deliver value. That's some of the work which we've been doing. And please feel free to check them out. And this brings us to the webinar on bringing that rapid change. So one of the things which we did ask in our poll is what is that go-to strategy in bringing that rapid change? So one of them is having that open communication and maintaining the transparency and building the trust. And the other way is to aggressively planning, replanning, and iteratively looking at the markets and iteratively adapting to the changing environments, or build kick-ass teams. The teams are in such a way that they are resilient and they're adapting to the changing markets. Or there's one more option, is to focus on just improving the flow from point A to point B. Focus on the flow, the rest will fall into play. Or the other option, other. You can add your comments below. And the answers, some of the poll which we had from our LinkedIn was quite interesting, and I do agree with them. So here, each of these strategy has its merits. And when we've been looking and investigating and curious about what is the participants and the people who we have, the audience perspective was, the one of the first thing which stands out is around the open comms fostering the trust. And this is where we find a role where product owners, for product owners, especially leadership is the forefront for this product ownership. it's not only from your one-to-one, how you're building these relationships with your stakeholders, internal stakeholders, or from your external stakeholders, or at the team level, or at the business unit, or at the enterprise level as well. So in product ownership, so as a you are responsible, you're owning the value from the moment you're creating, capturing the value to delivery, end-to-end flow of value. So for us to capture the value, and when you're capturing the value, how do we communicate that value in the form of user stories, or you're communicating the value in the form of meetings, retrospectives, sprint planning, sprint reviews? There are various meetings we do. And on top of that, you're using all these tools. One is using all these tools to mainly connect, at the individual level, or at the team level, or at the business unit level. So as product owners, when we are working with this leadership, when as the leadership skills which you are using to build the connections across the organizations, and this role, what we also observed is evolving. The role of product ownership is evolving as we are learning and uncovering new ways of working. As we also understand, is like, for not only focusing on the outcomes, is also interviewing and teasing out the information from various stakeholders, understanding what is that one thing they need, what they really, really need. And it's not only harvesting this information, when you're collating, synthesizing that information and help using your teams and various stakeholders to build that strategic uh, roadmap, what we want to deliver. And for this, it's continuous learning. And it's continuous learning about new skills, new tools, what we are observing in the markets. And when we did find, okay, there are so many tools out there, where do we even start from? So, what did we do? We again went back to LinkedIn and found out what is the current market looking at. Which emerging skill do we need to consider, which is most critical for product ownership role? Is it about high performing teams, or is it data driven iteration, strategic vision, or any other comments? So one thing which came around was the strategic vision, which was the most important, having the big picture. So having the big picture, one can navigate and adapt to the markets. So how do we, as in this role, having that strategic vision, how do we even achieve that? So one of the tools, for especially for product owners or people working in the leadership role, to build that strategic vision is working across those different boundaries. It can be within the team, horizontally or vertically, across your different tiers of leadership, or different seniority or ranks, or across different stakeholders, internal or external stakeholders, or the demographics, or even understanding the user base. So one of my airlines client, can the Queen of England or the King of England use our services and buy a flight ticket? And understanding the different perspectives, and also understanding the geographics, the locations, the regions, the markets, the how they're adapting, what is currently working through. This is moving across the boundaries. This is a very interesting thing. And when we went and investigated, is crossing boundaries very important for the product owners, and how is it matters for the leadership? And 99%, the research which shows that 99% of them agree it's very important to cross across the boundaries. And 86% of them, the data shows that it's very important. But when we dug into it, the data, but when it's been validated, it's only 7% describe themselves as being very effective at doing so. This highlights the critical gap of what's been perceived for effectiveness. Yes, we need to cross boundaries. We need to do all those things. We have to work with different stakeholders. We agree we do that. In theory, it's all important. But if it's really been happening, the data, the research, and what is really happening on the ground, There is a huge difference there. There's a gap there. So how? So how do we bridge that? So this brings me to this lovely case study. This is one of the clients who we've been working for through Leadership Tribe. So this client of ours is a leading digital agency. So one of the key goals is reducing the time to market, having multiple different agencies working with multiple clients working on the digital transformation. The demand has gone up, and the way they are onboarding the clients has been quite aggressive. And from inception to delivery, they want to reduce the time and build happy customers. And one of the things, there were multiple things we were working at. One of them was hyper automation. There are a few others, but for this particular webinar, I would love to bring in the story of Sarah. There's a cohort of stakeholders, a cohort of product owners. So in this product management team, when they're working together and looked at one of the key skill we can build as a team, they prioritized as storytelling as one of the key tools they're going to build. Because if you look at stories, or I would ask you this question. I want you to think about the story, that the time when you fell in love. So according to me and some of my colleagues, we found the time we fell in love is the most beautiful story one can ever remember. And when you're digging into that story, there are things you can see, hear, feel, emotions. And 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 that's the one thing which connects with no matter what geographies we work with. So there's something called the narrative. That's one common thing which connects all of our stakeholders together. What is that one common thing? Uh, as stakeholders, when we are bringing people together, so what is the story being told in front of you? So as stakeholders, when you're listening to us, what is the problems they are telling in front of you? Or are they talking about the solutions? Helping them to tease out what is happening on the ground and listening to those narratives changed the way these product ownership team started working. It not only worked with that, it also improved the diversity and inclusion in the way they've been working. They were able to reflect on the different customer bases, listening to the stories of what are the common problems they are facing for their customers, and help to create different innovative ideas, get through those assumptions these stakeholders were having. And it also, not only that, it also reduced the way people were having the biases, because now this product ownership team are more open to and more curious to hear what problems they're bringing to the table, or what is the solutions or challenges they want to discuss in front of them. And it not only helped the product ownership team is to deliver value, but also improve the brand of what they've been working. It, the underlying thing which we also found, it also helped them as a team to attract and retain the top talent in that organization. It has multiple ways. A rising tide lifts all boats. It helped the organization to improve in multiple ways. So where do I even start from? So one of the things which I have observed is, like, there are various organizations which are out there which help you in training these tools. I would recommend you to check those out. And one of the things which I also love and follow and work with is called, one of our partners is IC Agile. So the sponsor who we work for, they're running this public program on the 12th of February. Mark those calendar, mark the dates in your calendar. I would recommend you to check those dates. And for the people who are interested, so there's a little discount and a treat for you. So drop a note to hello@Leadership Tribe, and one of our colleagues will get in touch with you. So this brings us back to the point of the bonus content, the power of storytelling. So stories have been used and we've been carrying these stories, and we tell these stories from the past, or either we talk about the stories in the future. And these stories, they carry emotions. Think of the movies you watched, the favorite movie you watched. What is that one emotion it invokes? So these stories, they carry, uh, it's not only carrying the emotion, but it also carries the value what we're trying to articulate. So I would like to tell you the story about a few years ago, 4 years ago. I was working for this client who asked me to work on this project where we had to go and go on to this client, work through the entire strategy, agree with this end to end, and sign this contract, and come back, and so that we can show to our stakeholders we won it. So in that way, that we are able to secure 3 months worth of salary, 3 months worth of salaries for our colleagues who we've been working. It was critical for us to work and win that client. Being in that meeting, anxious, and being ready, going through all the paperwork, what are the things which we had gone through, being ready for the questions. Okay, all set, ready to go. About to leave to the into the meeting room, our colleague calls in. Krishna, is everything okay? So is there any other questions you have? At that moment of time, I was asking myself, dude, the meeting is about to happen in few seconds. Is there anything else? That was the end of story. So, and the story two. This is a story about a few days ago. There was a story about in India. They celebrated this festival called Pongal. So working with the client and seeing the entire family celebrating, and of course in that client meeting apologizing and coming and sharing how they celebrated the stories, brought in memories of my own time when I celebrated that festival with my family. So listening to the stories, one story is about, the first story was about excitement, curiosity, nervousness, anxiety. And the second story was about uh, is about dopamine, bringing people together, the oneness. So each of these stories have different emotions, and these stories can be written and articulated. And a great example of it, you can see it in the Gettysburg Address. And one of them, a great, one of the great authors who I love personally, his name is Randy Olson. I would recommend you to check his book out. Um, the example which he shares is, he talks about the and, but, therefore framework. It's quite simple but powerful. In this example here, and, it talks about the setup of what is happening for four scores. 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent. It talks about the setup of what is happening. But the real problem, what is happening there? We are engaged on a great civil war, the real issue of what is happening. Therefore, the solution of, but in a larger sense, we cannot carry on doing the way we are doing and set up, but the problem and a simple solution. So it's quite a simple framework, but can be used in the way we work. It can be used for marketing. It can be used for writing powerful user stories. And there's a simple tool. I would like you to try it out as well. So the template starts with time and date, 4 years ago, and they were doing something. This is the context of what was happening. But the problem, something changed. Because of this problem, they did this. Therefore, as a result, ta-da! So if you're using the story in a marketing context, so an example of it was one of the companies I worked with, they launched a new product that offers innovative features 3 weeks ago. And these advanced technology catering for modern consumers, but they faced competition from well-established brands and struggled to gain a market share. And to improve this, they implemented a comprehensive marketing strategy focused on targeting advertising. Therefore, they were able to improve the sales and build the brand awareness and improve the customer base by 18%. So this is a simple template one can start using from today if you want to start practicing it. And which also brings me down to the next steps. So if stories are simple but yet powerful, what is that story you are telling yourself regarding the role, regarding the opportunities you're creating? So if you want to change the game, or if you are looking at improving the role of your product ownership, there are two things you can do. One is build your skills, get yourself trained. And the second thing is, if you are looking at investigating, not sure where you are, all you need to do is drop a note to hello@Leadership Tribe and book a one-to-one session with me. I'll be more than happy to get in touch with you. And this also brings me to to talk about the sponsor of this webinar. Go and check out their services. And if you have more than any questions or anything at all, feel free to give us a shout and we'll be more than happy to speak to you soon. Thank you very much. Brilliant. I'll be more than happy to connect with you on LinkedIn, Prashant. Thank you, Josephine. All right. On that note, lovely colleagues, have a lovely weekend. And if I don't speak to you soon, okay. And for the colleagues who want to give me a touch, feel free to reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to speak to you soon. On that note, have a lovely weekend. Ta-ta.